Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Salva Kiir, and welcome to this short episode on Genuine Canadian podcast. Today's episode will be very short. It will be focusing on the current development that went on in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The current trending topic that has been going on. The president of South Sudan, his conditions in terms of his health, his physical health, and his mental health. I will be focusing on that. Right now, President Kiir is 73-year-old. When you look at someone who is 73 years old in our current or the modern society, they would still have 10, 15 more years to live a healthy lifestyle. If they live a healthy lifestyle, to be in their physical ability, in the better physical conditions, their cognitive abilities would also function in a very moderate way. But in the conditions of Salva Kiir, and people generally would say that it is the entire continent that is falling short of having these leaders that stay longer. I would say, compared to the rest of the presidents that have been leading their respective countries for over 20, 30, or 4 decades, guys like Biya of Cameroon, Museveni, Paul Kagame. So they overstay in the seat of the presidency. But Salva Kiir conditions are different from these leaders. But considering his current conditions, his cognitive ability, his physical health, it became evident that President Salva Kiir might be not the one that is pushing the narrative of the civil war continuing in the country. The world has seen it. How we walk, we could barely talk. His own daughter, Salva Kiir Mayardit, that he appointed as the presidential envoy for special programs, felt very embarrassed when her father was addressing the head of states. While speaking, no one was paying attention because no one could hear the word that he was spewing out. Now, people should ask this question. Was a senior person that is over 70 years old, someone who have been in the bushes during his youth, somebody who was a liberator during the liberation struggle, someone whose resumes only indicates that he was chief of the security within the SPLM movement, having his cadres disappearing if someone had to disagree with what the high command was dictating. After the liberation struggle, when we gained independence, he was given the gavel to lead the nation into the new dawn, which is self-rule, self-govern, infrastructure in terms of development, and leading to the path of building South Sudan. Now, within 2 years in power, within 2 years, South Sudan engulfed into civil war. Ethnic tensions rise. Nuer are bombed. Aerial bombardment in Nuerland is consistent. Within the Equatorial regions, the leaders are perishing daily. The river of Nile underneath is full of bodies that haven't been recovered. Now, with his health declining, the president himself, him being able to imprison his political opponent, mostly the first vice president, Dr. Machar. Now his cognitive abilities are disappearing, President Kiir. What will President Kiir will be remembered for? I'm asking you, if you are a South Sudanese, if you have felt what most South Sudanese feel about President Salva Kiir. Is Salva Kiir the one right now running South Sudan? Is he still the president of the country? Guys like Makwei, someone like Manyang, Paul Nang, and the defense minister. Of course, these individuals, we do know they have a bone to pick with Dr. Machar. These individuals, they have bone to pick against the Nuer. And these people, they have a bone to pick against the entire nation, particularly those that are telling them hatred cannot build the nation, despite cannot build a country. Isolating one tribe to continue your way of dividing resources among yourself cannot make the nation prosper. So individuals like this, are they the one that are making sure that this civil war that is killing our citizens cannot be ended? Because in my view, I think President Kiir, if he wants to maintain his legacy, if President Kiir wants to have a good legacy, if he wants to keep his legacy, his liberation legacy, as someone that liberated, what was the part of the liberation, I'm pretty sure he would call off this civil war. He would release the political detainees. He would actually accept the reforms toward the constitutions, the reforms of all the institutions and organs of the government. He would pause the election, put it on hold, and actually prioritize reconciliation. President Kiir want to be known as a founding father, as one of the founding fathers of the nation. He would prioritize repatriation to those that are in the neighboring countries and those who are in POCs inside South Sudan. A President Salva Kiir want to have a great legacy. He would dissolve his entire government, prioritize a new government of national unity that would be credible, inclusive of all 64 tribes, with a better vetting process to all the members of the legislative assembly or the parliament. If President Kiir, before his cognitive abilities all disappear, at this juncture would prioritize healing, because there are deep wounds planted. There are deep wounds. The wounds are too deep to the point where forgiveness for so many is not an option. Now, I can speak of who is running the country. Some people are speculating that Adut has a lot of says in many things that are happening within the presidency. Others are saying that Tut Keo and Kwal Manyang, Paul Nang, and other Bill Palm veterans have a lot of input toward all the actions undertaken by the president. Many other speculations are circulating around in the media. But ladies and gentlemen, I want Salva Kiir to live longer. I want Salva Kiir to witness the transformation process of this nation. The nation that he buried deeply under the ground. I don't want anything to happen to him. Because God forbid, if something happened to him right now, he would be at peace very easily. I don't want Kiir to be at peace easily. I want him to witness everything that will transcend and change the image of this country called South Sudan. Some of you may disagree, but my message today is very simple. And it will go directly to the family of the president, particularly his infamous daughter, Honorable Adut Salva Kiir. If you want to protect your father's legacy, advise him to step aside. If you want to protect your father's legacy, advise him to prioritize peace and reconciliation. If you want to protect your father's legacy, advise him to release the political juggernaut of the nation, Dr. Riek Machar. If you want to protect your father's legacy, do not take advisement from those bitter old heads, namely Kwal Manyang, Makwilweth, and other goons that are clinging on into 1991 political stand. If you want to protect your father's legacy, make sure your dad is repatriating individuals whose homes, whose villages are burned down. Should you put all these matters into your father's ears? Of course, a little bit of his legacy will remain. But should he continue the Dinkaism narrative, his legacy will be gone forever. He will be known in the history book as the first president of South Sudan who economically killed the nation, who physically targeted and divided the South Sudanese communities, particularly the Nuer and the Equatorians. Should you not advise your dad, the history will remember him as a guy who cling on power, could barely walk, could not take his hat off while the national anthem of the nation is being sung. They still will remember him as the first president in the continent that peed himself. They still will remember him as as someone who is lacking intelligence. Those are my words. The families of the President Salva Kiir. Your tenure is over, Mr. President. It's time to call it while you still breathe. Go on retirement tour. I don't really care this movement. Who can lead the country? I don't care if it's a dude. Considering the fact that the word is you have been building her up, but advice from Kolmanyang, Kolnang, Makwilweth will take you to your grave here, Mr. President. And with all due respect, it's time to hang up that hat. Have a good one. Please share your thought. Comment, like, and share. My name is Gadloa Kair. This is European Canadian Podcast. Have a good one. See you on the next one. Thank you.